Howdy, howdy, howdy. It's a Rodfather 916. It is early morning here in the Big Tomato, Sacramento. And I'm doing laundry and cooking dinner and getting all my chores done because it was 103 yesterday. And I may just go to the movies after I get my writings and things done and just use the air conditioner because this is Tuesday, so it's like $5 Tuesday, $5 or $6 Tuesday. Anyway, as I'm doing my laundry and waiting for a load to dry, I'm on TikTok, strolling, looking at different conversations. And there was one particular conversation with a couple of men hosting, talking about women and relationships. And these two men, who I'm guessing in their 20s, late 20s, early 30s, have strong opinions how women must be to be acceptable, marriage material. And after about 3 or 4 minutes, I was sort of transported back to 1960s. Women didn't really start having rights until the 1970s. But women were expected to, clean the house, cook the meals, take care of the kids, make sure the oil's changed. And couldn't open up bank accounts, couldn't open up a checking account. Let's say you worked all your life for money and you put it in an account and somehow your husband found out about it. The fact that you are married to him, he can take that out without you questioning it. And these laws have only been in effect, when you think about it, maybe 50 years? 50 years. So a lot of the themes seem to be submitting to a man, a woman submitting to a man. And they were quite critical of a lot of women. And the only words that seem to matter, or opinions that seem to matter, is theirs. They would cut anybody off whose different opinion was different. And very critical of single women. So even though the majority of the people, I think it's like 40, 50 people, a majority are women, a lot were intimidated to, have a discussion or participate. But naturally, the Rodfather had a lot of opinions. And so at one point I was noticed. Wasn't intentional. I didn't want to be noticed. I'm just, I can't believe these fools believe this in 2025. I had to, like I said, check my watch. What? And so someone said, well, the Rodfather 916, who's the Rodfather 916? The Rodfather 916 has a lot to say, but he doesn't want to come on and chat with us. And someone said, well, you know how they are. The ones who have a lot to say don't have any, they won't ever come up. Hello, I'm here. You can let me in. Who y'all talking to? Come on. And like a lot of women, a lot of my opinions were cut and I was wrong. And I remember saying that I didn't raise my sons to demand that the women submit to them, and my daughter, no. Because a marriage is a union. That's what I've always believed. And if two people are working, there should be two opinions. There shouldn't be one person, but these men disagreed with me. And at one point got my big ass out as quickly as possible. One of the questions they posed to the group was, what percentage should a woman pay versus a man pay? They believed the man should make the final decision. Well, I don't get into arguments with people in most cases, because life is the biggest teacher. I could tell you and you can disagree with me all day long. But once you've paid your bills, made your monthly bills, and then your kid falls down and breaks a tooth, That's one of those lessons. Because you thought life was black and white. You know, when my son needed extra things, you know, me and my wife were really in debt. But there were things like he needed a calculator or somebody was hurt. We had to find a way for the money. I remember we would look at each other like, where we're going to get it. We didn't have credit at the time. But we got it. And that's what most families face. And the fact that these men, you know, sort of talk negatively about single women, great many women who are single, struggling, some working one job, they already have a job with their kids, and some working two jobs, create teachers, leaders, men and women, create scientists, economics, people in the medical field. They even create somebody like Elon Musk, who is very close to his mom. His father didn't play a large role in his life until he was older, but his earliest days, it was his mom. And now that man's worth $400 million. To say a woman's contribution is minimal, or she doesn't really have any, it's crazy. You know, my father died when I was 6. I finished college. It took me a while, but I finished college. Single mom. So, you know, I come from a different place. And that's why I tell people in conversations and even sometimes in videos here, if you have someone early on, who is insecure and wants to control every aspect of your life and you're not to speak over him, it doesn't get better. Now, I don't reach people in their 20s and 30s. If I always say, go talk to a woman who's 40, who's been through it, she can tell you. Maybe you'll listen to her. You know, you'll dismiss me like, what does he know? He thinks he knows everything. But it doesn't get better. The shortcomings that they have doesn't go away. When you're in your 20s, you think, if I can love him the way he wants to love and treat him and do all the things he wants to do, he'll change for me. He will change if he wants to change. Is there a possibility he could change? Yes. But it's been my experience, very few people do, because they don't believe they're wrong. Something's wrong with you. That's why, you know, I learned that you should wait a few years. Don't get married until you know this person 2 or 3 years. Their work history, their maturity, their relationships with everybody. Everybody's heard this. If you see my video, you've heard this spiel before. But don't rush into marriage because the sex was good. 60% of marriages in divorce because there are discussions that never took place. Sex kind of blind you that way. So I'm going to end here, but yeah, I'm curious. These men believe, and there are certain women who want to submit. There are also certain women who have expectations of their husbands fully supporting them. I have problems with that because if people think you are dependent on them, they'll treat you differently. You know, I know of someone who would never let his wife work. Never. Because that was his way of controlling her. But I have a quick story about a niece. She's in a relationship, been married maybe a year. And she came home and her husband slapped her. She's an attorney. So they went to work. Everybody went to work, waved everybody goodbye. She went and got her, went to Starbucks, came home, got on the phone before the day was over, Her furnishings were packed. I think she got a P.O. box. She checked into a hotel, and a week later, she was in her apartment. She said she told him when they got married, he's only got one time to hit her. She's an attorney. I mean, she makes $2K, I think. I'm not gonna say how much, but she makes a lot. She makes well. And because of her income, but a lot of women have to stay there and take that whooping, take that beating until they decide enough is enough and leave. But if you have your own money, it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. I mean, I chose to be homeless for a short time because the family members I had to choose from were unpredictable. And so it was easy for me to be homeless, where I knew how the next day was going to be, or have a sense, but not be hit and maybe put out on the street. No. And I wasn't home that long, like 3 weeks, but I stayed in shelters and got a job while I was there. And from that point forward, I made sure I had my own money. So I tell people, what's that song? God bless the child that has his own. That's an old song, but I'm telling you, that's true today. Have your own money. Because if he or she or it knows you are depending on them, they may treat you in a way that you go, wait a minute, who is this person? But they've always been that way. This is the Rod Father wishing everybody love, joy, peace, and happiness. God bless the child that has his own. Wishing everybody love, joy, peace, and happiness. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. I'd also appreciate if you subscribe, follow, share. But do you believe in submitting for your man? There's no wrong answers here. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.